I would never have thought that I could do all that, but when I just did it, like I came back with that from that trip with so much confidence. Like I felt more prepped for the unknown. And I feel like not knowing what's going to come next, not knowing what's ahead of you in the future is also something that kind of like shakes you up and makes you kind of lose yourself. But doing things like that, doing things out of your comfort zone, going on adventure trips, stuff like that will make you feel more prepared for the unexpected.
Hey guys, welcome to Telugu Saga. Nenu mi Vishal, line lo Nuasai.
None, bro.
How's your day going, bro?
It's going good, bro. I woke up, took a nice walk in 90s weather, listening to some, Tamil mass songs, getting ready for this podcast. It's going well.
Nice, bro. Ante shut చేసుకొని బయటికి వెళ్ళావా ఏంటి?
Are, this is just a formal thing for a podcast. I wore a sport T-shirt.
Just joking. But I'm really happy with our podcast, bro. Ante చాలా మంది చూస్తున్నారు and we're getting that recognition. And firstly I want to thank SGT and the admins because unless they don't like approve the content, our post and stuff like that, it wouldn't have become this big. And we're definitely growing because a lot of people are interested in our podcast and are definitely watching them. So I appreciate them taking the time to reach out to us, and also the admins who accepted our post on the page. So yeah, so I want to go ahead and talk about our podcast real quick. So I'm excited for our topic. It's going to be the non-traditional path, and like I was wondering if you want to go ahead and introduce the guest for today.
Definitely, Michelle. Today's topic is about a non-traditional path in college, how an individual applies to attend college and ends up switching their degrees because that's where they felt their heart was right. It all happens to us. It's hard to know what we love until we fully immerse ourselves and understand it. Wishal and I switched from computer science to ICE degrees. Our previous guests have done the same in their own manner. We're curious about today's guest, what she had to go through, because it is hard switching degrees midway in college. You have to worry about time and cost, but you will eventually do what you envisioned. So today's guest grew up in New Jersey, attending Rutgers University, where she is currently studying creative writing and psychology. She's the author of several short stories, has her own blog, which I highly recommend you guys check it out, and she aspires to be a published author. She is Akila Rayapuraju. Welcome, Akila.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going great.
Awesome.
So Akila, thank you for coming on our podcast. So like right off the bat, we want to ask you a quick question, or at least like the main question, right? So we can start the discussion. So Akila, walk us through your phase from high school to college to now, and the important aspects that shaped you today.
Okay, that's a big question.
Right.
So high school was a very strange time for me. I feel like I was like I like to be that kid that was like misunderstood and like didn't know, like didn't think anyone would understand what I was going through and all that stuff. And underlying that was a lot of like anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety in high school, and that shaped me a lot in the way of like I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I would switch from like um subject to subject in terms of what I wanted to pursue. So it's interesting because I actually started out in high school wanting to be a psychologist. I wanted to go into therapy, because I was like, you know what, like I don't like feeling the way I do. I wish I did have someone to talk about it with, and I wish that stigma didn't really exist in our culture. And I wanted to be one of those people that helped to change that. But obviously, parents aren't going to be that happy with that because of that great stigma we have around like mental health and stuff. So my parents eventually convinced me to like change it to something related. They're like, be a doctor. Why not a doctor, right? Like doctor's close enough. So I kind of was like, okay, I guess like that's the closest I could go. I was getting a lot of pressure from like relatives and family friends who, can I just say, like that's none of their business. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't understand how it's gonna affect their life, like where I'm going in my life, you know? I never got that. So I was like, but at that time, you know, I was facing a lot of pressure. I felt very alone. So I was like, okay, I'm going to see what else I can pursue. So then I got to Rutgers. I was in my freshman year, and I became convinced that I did want to be a doctor. So I actually genuinely wanted to. I was like, wow, this is such a great field. These are like people who are healers. Like that's such a respectable, great job. Like it's something awesome to pursue. And it's like close enough to what I wanted. Even my major, cell bio and neuroscience, was pretty close to psychology, right? Like that's like the more scientific version. Um, so I was like, okay, so I guess that's what I'm going to pursue. So for 3 years, I put everything I had into that. I went through organic chemistry. I pushed myself through that stupid class. And I was like, it's all worth it because in the end, I'm going to be a doctor, right? Because I was so convinced. And a lot of that has to do with the fact, like, you know, so many of us grow up with our parents and our families saying, like, you know, when you grow up, you're going to be this. And it's almost like it gets brainwashed into the back of your head. So I guess that kind of played a part in me kind of accepting, like, yeah, this is for me. But eventually, so I put a lot of effort into this for 3 years, 3 years. So I'm going into my senior year at Rutgers right now. So 3 years, I put so much effort, but I started to realize towards the beginning of my junior year, I started to realize something, and that was that something didn't feel right. Like something was off. I noticed that I wasn't as passionate about this topic as a lot of my friends. Like I've had friends who would read textbooks for fun. I don't get it. I don't get that. But I was like, okay, like, you know, and they would, you know, join a lot of extracurriculars that have to do with medicine and stuff like that. And while I would too, I wasn't crazy about it. I wasn't like, wow, this is my life. This is what I want to do. And that was the first warning bell. Second warning bell, I started to think of it. So I'm a writer as well. Like I like writing. Eventually I want to publish books and stuff. I started to think of this career as something to give me financial stability while I'm writing on the side, which is not the way you should go into be a doctor. Like, can you imagine your doctor being like, yeah, I don't actually care about this job. I'm doing this like for the money to pay for something else. Like, no, you don't want that. So I was like, okay, like I need to take a step back, but it's hard. It's hard to take a step back when you're this far in. You've invested so much energy into this one thing. You've just got like what, a year left, and your parents and everyone you know are like, you know, they would be pretty surprised that you suddenly changing your mind. What seems like out of the blue, like literally a year before you're about to graduate, and so it's hard. And also like, you know, once when you're in college, like college goes by fast. Like the semester, when you're in it, like it just keeps moving. It just keeps moving. You just have to do one thing after the other. There's no time to just take a step back and breathe and be like, okay, let me reevaluate the situation. So while I hate this pandemic and I wish this stupid virus never even came up, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it forced me to just stop, like just stop, because no one could do anything, right? You just have to stop. And it forced me to think, and it forced me to say, okay, do I really like this? Is this giving me happiness? When I think about my future, am I excited? And I wasn't. I wasn't at all excited. I was terrified. And I was like, okay, that's a problem. So it was hard to come to terms with that because for all my life I always knew what I wanted to be. Always. Literally when I was 6 years old, I would tell people I'd be an inventor. I don't even know what that means, but So I was like, I always knew what I wanted to be, and then I didn't. All of a sudden, like the second that I like accepted the fact that maybe a doctor is not what was meant for me, what I need to be. Um, it's like I was lost in a black hole. Like I felt like I was just kind of floating there, and there just seemed to be like no direction anywhere. I was really confused. I didn't know what to do. Um, but you know, you can't run from that forever. And again, with the pandemic, it kind of like isolation, being in quarantine, it kind of makes you sit with yourself and really think. So I was forced to kind of confront this. And then I contacted my university career services, and actually a career counselor was able to help me do this. And she was like, okay, you know what? I want you to start from the beginning. I want you to take a career quiz. And I was like, okay, that's pretty basic. Let me try. Like, why not? And it was like a 20-minute quiz, and it basically assessed you on your skill set, your personal interests, and like what you're good at, and like kind of combined that and said and would say like, so these are the perfect jobs for you, which is not always accurate, but typically used it's like it is accurate. And so I think like 9 out of the 10 jobs that popped up for me were all about mental health. And I was like, of course. Okay, so it's coming back now, full circle. So that I think is really interesting because the same thing that my parents tried to like avoid me going into in the beginning is exactly what came back anyway. Like anyway, it came back and said like, here I am, this is what you are, this is what you're meant to be. So accepting that also took me a while because I didn't want to go back through that process with my parents, the arguing and the yelling, and it's very emotionally draining to go through that because you know that's something you're passionate about, and I get their side too. They want you to be like, you know, financially stable. They want you to have a respectable job and all that stuff. But like in the end, you're the person living that life. It's not them. Like you're the person living your life, right? So I really have to take that into consideration. And I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to pursue, you know, becoming a therapist. I don't know exactly what, like, 'cause there's so many ways you can be a therapist. You could just get a master's, you could get a PhD, but all I knew was that's the field I wanted to go into. And telling my parents that was a whole ordeal because obviously they're like, again? Like, do we have to go through this again? Um, I mean, I told them and they were mad. They were really upset. They are still upset in terms like if I bring up career, they'll kind of get like a little distant, which makes sense. Like I'm not expecting like 100% like 360 turnaround. Like I don't know, like you know, I'm not expecting them to be like, oh perfect, we love this job, it's perfect for you. So and that's not gonna happen overnight, basically, and I get that. But eventually, basically, what my dad said was, listen, like it's your life, so you have to live with the consequences. And if you really feel this is right for you, then you can try it. My mom, on the other hand, is all about that, like, what will other people think? And that's like a whole different like thing to tackle in terms of that. For myself, I don't really I'm coming to the point where I don't care as much what other people think because again, like I said before, they're not living your life. They'll probably think about you in like what 60 seconds in like 3 weeks or something. Like it doesn't matter in the end. It doesn't matter because you're the one that's going to be there full time living in your life. So what's most important is that the life you live is what makes you happy, right? So that's how I ended up sticking with that, and that's where I am here today. Like I'm still trying to explore what exactly I want to do in this field because it is relatively new and it's scary going into my last year with this complete like turnaround, but it's good that like I don't have to like completely change my degrees. Like I just added a psych degree to my undergrad career, um and hopefully that's going to be enough for now just because like I mean, psychology is not that, like I said, it's not that different from my major, which is cell bio neuroscience. So, like, it's going okay as of now, but like, I still have a lot of exploring to do, and I'm just happy to know that now when I think of my future, I get really excited, and I'm like, oh my god, there's like so much I want to do, and that's how I know that I'm on the right track. Yeah.
Well said, Akila. And honestly, I think this is something that a lot of people would relate to because especially our generation, when we go to college, our parents, like especially Indian parents, a lot of them are not really open to the different types of majors out there. It's always like engineering, medical, or law, and we're all pressured to do something in that area, while like our family friends around us are actually doing those anyway, coincidentally. And so I think it's great on your part that you don't care about like what your family friends think, or your close circle thinks. It's because at the end of the day, it's you that's doing the work and the job. So in my opinion, like the moment you enter college, you can't really hide from your passion. Like maybe it happens in your first year, second year, third year. Some people even their fourth year, right before they're graduating, they want to do a career shift, or they want to do something else. Again, coming back to the point of Sai and I, we both were in computer science. I mean, we went to different universities, and then we moved to information systems. While it's not as different, um, it is a slight career shift. Um, Mine actually goes into a lot more business and IT, so it has like a combination of both, and I really enjoyed it. But in this like beginning phases, of course, my parents were a little upset that I made that choice. But once they saw my progress and the fact that I'm passionate, I think that's what kind of like gave them an answer that okay, this is fine. Um, but one question for you: was there a you said like you had that shift in your third year, right? Or you were like thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it in your third year. Um, was there a particular incident that changed you, or was it just experience?
I think this has always been in the back of my mind. It's just something that I was pushing away because I mean honestly, it's a question that came up often like in my undergrad where I would think like um if not a doctor then what would I be? And I couldn't stand facing that like empty hole of no answers. So I just kind of shied away from that. Um so it's not like a singular experience that changed it, but it's just that like finally finding the time to sit with myself and literally like look inward and just analyze what am I doing and why am I doing it is really what brought those answers back out. It's something I've always known. It's just something I was hiding from because I knew that it would make the people around me unhappy and I didn't want to do that. But I was sick of always trying to make other people happy and not myself happy. Like that's so unfair. Like how can I also not treat myself like I'm the way I'm treating other people. So in the end, it was, I guess you could say, an act of self love. Like I need to figure out what it is that I want and not just what other people want and how I can serve
Do what you want to do, but have at least six figures in your salary.
them. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I wanna talk about a point where you had to confront the people around you on the change of your degrees again, the choice.
Mhm.
How can you shine us a light on how not to be afraid of anything when you want to talk to people? We're always afraid of telling people, like you said, I'm afraid of what people will think. I'm afraid of people. I will lose people. I'm afraid um, people won't like me anymore.
Mhm.
What I'm sure you gone through this. How did you deal with that? How did you tell yourself um, this will be okay?
I mean, definitely that fear does not go away. Like just because I care less what other people think doesn't make it any less terrifying, I think. But what I try to remind myself is that, if people don't like me and they do walk away, then it's for a reason. Like they're not meant to be in my life then. And because I know that I'm going to be successful no matter what I do. And I know that like I think it comes down to having faith in yourself and having faith in the life that you're living. Because like, the right people will be in your life. They will come into your life and they will stay with you. And if they walk away, then they don't deserve to be there with you and they don't deserve to celebrate your successes with you. So like when you go into like it's not exactly a confrontation, but when you go into a conversation with that kind of mindset, I think it gives you a little more courage to be like, listen, like this is how I truly am. This is what I am, and if you can't handle that, then I guess that's what it is. But if you can, then thank you for being here with me and supporting me. Yeah.
That's a strong mindset.
Took a long time to get there. Long time.
So, Akila, I had a question to ask you. You know, a lot of Indian students are given a slight pressure in what major they should pursue, and that also kind of like takes a toll on their mental health, because it's like they're being pressured to do something, and they don't want to, and they don't know how to communicate with their parents. And I've seen examples of that in my friends here. um, like what kind of advice would you give them, because they want to especially like speak out, and like talk to their parents or confront their close circle about like their career shifts. So do you have any advice for them?
I think what I've learned with myself is that before before confronting your parents, your family, your friends, you should be completely confident in yourself in terms of what you're doing, like what you want. Like, are you sure of what you want? Because when you're confronting them and they're going to ask questions, right? They're going to be like, why do you think this is right for you? And like blah 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 and all that stuff. You have to be completely sure of what you're saying back. Because when you're confident, like it gives, at least for your parents and your family, it gives them a sense of assurance, like, okay, they're going to be okay, because that's what they primarily care about in most cases. I mean, there is always that thought process of like, what will other people think, right? But in terms of like, are they going to be okay, like when you have that confidence in yourself, it spreads. Other people will also have that confidence in you. So I know for me, that's what really helps. And I know for some people it will help to, like, this is gonna sound stupid, but to make a presentation. But it's not for everyone. But it can definitely help some people because you have your thoughts all laid out. And when you like plan that way, when you plan for answers to questions that will be coming for you about your change in major or career, you'll feel more prepared. So again, that's gonna give you more of that confidence. And it'll just, like, you will sound like you know what you're doing. And when you sound that way, like, then who has the right to question you, like, because like the primary thing with like suddenly out of nowhere changing your career or your major, when you do that, people will think like, oh, they must be confused, they must be like, they don't know what they're doing. So like, when you have that confidence to and show that you do know what you're doing, then like it just, they'll take it a little easier. I'm not saying that the questions will go away. I'm not saying that some people won't walk away from you. They might. But again, that goes back to that point that where I'm like, then they don't deserve to be there on that journey with you. Some people might go away and then come back. Like, I don't, it's all very different person to person. A lot of it has to do with trusting yourself and trusting your gut. And like, if you don't know how to do that, then there's ways you can like get to do that, like journaling and a lot of stuff. So these are the kind of things that I do talk about on my blog. So like that would be a nice place to check out.
Confidence and having that strong mindset is definitely hard, and you have to learn it. Coming out of your 20s, that's when you come out of that autopilot mode. You listen to your parents for 20 years, and now you have to be by yourself. You're on your own. You have to make decisions yourself. And then you get rejected, you fail a couple of courses, you lose yourself in the middle. How does one gain that confidence? Do they have to just take on failures and learn from them? What's the path there?
You gain confidence when you understand who you are. And that's why a lot of people don't have confidence in themselves, because they don't know who they are. And that's a valid question to have. It's confusing. Like, I don't know. I didn't know who I was for the longest time. I don't know if I still know. That's a constant journey. But when you invest in starting to understand yourself and know yourself, that's when that confidence and that mindset will start to come. And you can start doing that by doing things like journaling. I'm a huge journal person. Um, you could do it by responding to prompts and stuff, because it's just when you ask yourself questions and you write the answers to them, you learn so much about yourself, so much. That and oh, getting out of your comfort zone, that is the biggest thing. When I went into college, that's literally the motto that I lived by. Like, let me just throw myself out of my comfort zone. And I did that. Like, I was a really shy person, but I went for all these leadership experiences. I'm not a very fit athletic person, but I went on a bunch of adventure retreats, which scared the crap out of me. But that's good. That's really good because that's how you learn, right? Like, what did I do? I climbed some tall pole thing. It was like 30 feet high. I thought I was literally gonna pee my pants or something, but I didn't. And then I zip lined down from there. Like, literally, like, I would never have thought that I could do stuff like that. But when you do things that you don't think that you can do, like, that's where that confidence comes from. Going on that trip to Costa Rica. So I went on a trip to Costa Rica January 2020, so right before Corona and everything. And I'm not the kind of person that would travel internationally without my family. I had never traveled alone before. That scared me. Not only that, but we were going to be living in a jungle, and we had like literally like no access to electronics. Our shower was a trickle of water that was freezing. There was a bat, a giant spider thing that we called a cave dweller, a toad in that shower. I and there were no lights, right? Because no electricity. So you had to carry a lantern around into the bathroom at night, and it was really dark. So like, obviously, these things I am not comfortable with. I literally bathed in a river. Like, I had never done that before. Oh my god, like fish, bugs, like, all that stuff. I would never have thought that I could do all that, but when I just did it, like, I came back with that from that trip with so much confidence. Like, I felt more prepped for the unknown. And I feel like not knowing what's going to come next, not knowing what's ahead of you in the future is also something that kind of like shakes you up and makes you kind of lose yourself. But doing things like that, doing things out of your comfort zone, going on adventure trips, stuff like that will make you feel more prepared for the unexpected, which is such a weird, like, you wouldn't expect that, but that's exactly how it works. And I know that from firsthand experience. And I think the third important thing is building a really good support system. The people who you surround yourself with is like they have such a huge influence on you. And when I went into college, like my first year, I remember struggling with finding friends, and I felt very scared and alone. And I know that a lot of people have that experience in college because oh my god, like it's a completely different experience from what you know. And so when I did find my friends, I started surrounding myself with people who were focused on themselves as well. They were focused on growing themselves into better people. They were focused on like personal development. And that kind of turned my mind towards that too. So their influence on me was so profound because I started focusing on myself and we were all just learning to grow together. And the people who weren't focused on that, like I had some people who were really close to me who just were comfortable with where they were. They weren't focused on growing more as a person, and they just fell out of my life. Like they fell out. And like that brings me back to that point that you said earlier. Like, what if people walk away? Well, then they're meant to walk away. Like it's because they're making space for better people who will support your growth, then like help you towards your ultimate goal.
I think that's a great point that you bring up because like or the points that you brought up because there are at least quite a few people who put themselves in a like uncomfortable situation and to see more results. Like from my end, like it would be like for me an uncomfortable situation was me living in the dorms because I never actually lived away from my parents. I was only like 45 minutes away, but it's still a weird situation because I never done that in my life before. And so first few months were a little rough and I kind of felt alone, but then I started to realize like I was growing, I was growing as a college student and like I was feeling better about myself. And I gained that confidence. And yes, a lot of you actually see a lot of people come into your life, but not everybody stays there. You'll see people walk
Right.
past you, and then that's it. And I think that's a natural thing. It's not like something that we do in order for that to happen. So I wanted before we move on to our next rounds and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you, like, what was your main motivation for starting your blog? Was it just because you loved writing, or was it just because like you just wanted to do it for fun?
The blog, the idea kind of started, I think, around March. No, not March. I think around May. Around May, I had this idea. I was like, oh my God, what if I started a blog? Like, I could talk about the things that I'm thinking. Like, that'd be so cool. But then, I was like, I don't know what I would even blog about. Like, I like writing, but like that, and like I was like, who would listen to me talk about something? Like, no one even knows me. I'm not some like, big hotshot person, right? So, but then I just really felt the need. And in the past, I've learned that when something keeps coming up in my head, when it keeps nagging me, I should probably do it. So that's me kind of listening to myself, and I'm okay. So I really like talking about mental health. I love talking about spirituality. I love talking about personal development. I want to help more people have the ability to look inside themselves, because most people underestimate themselves, and I don't think a lot of people also realize that you have all the answers that you're looking for. We just don't know it. So when you do invest in yourself and learn to look inward, you can find so many of those answers, and life just becomes so much more easier. It becomes beautiful. So like, I wanted to be able to share my experiences and my thoughts on those things, and kind of spread a little more positivity in this very negative time. So I was like, okay, let me just do it. And like, doing it was scary. I'm not a very emotionally vulnerable person. So like, sharing what I really think about things has always scared me a lot, because I guess, like, I didn't want people's perception of me to change. Like, I used to be a very big people pleaser. Like, that was the reason why I neglected a lot of the things that I wanted, because I wanted to please the people around me. So, boldly stating, this is what I think about this, and this is what I think about this, is terrifying. And the second I identified that I was scared of that, I was like, all right, now I have to do it. Like, I have to do that because I'm scared of it. So, I set it up. And another reason why it's scary is because, like, you actually have to invest money into a website. Like, if you want your own domain name and then to like host it and everything, like, that's money, and that's like expensive. And I don't currently have like a source of income personally. So like, but then I had some money saved up, and I was like, might as well. Like, what? It's an investment. Again, this is an investment in myself. I'm going to trust myself. There's a reason I'm having these thoughts. So I set it up, and I am so glad that I did, because people have reached out to me personally saying, hey, like, I needed this. And that's just so amazing to hear, because in the first month that I was making the blog, I just kind of felt like I was screaming into a void, because there's so many things on the internet. And you never know, like, it just didn't click in my head that people would actually be reading and connecting with my work, like being like, yeah, like, I feel you, like, I'm there with you. So that was like so satisfying to know, and like, I just, it made me really, really happy.
I'm really happy where you're at. Most people write for the views. You write to write. You can clearly say when you write your words, like, you're meant to be. You're meant to be that person who's willing to actually help people. You're the way you word your paragraphs. I love your humor here and there. It's a story, kind of. It's not like you're summing everything up. You actually add in your personal experiences, which makes it even better. So whoever's watching this, just give it one article. Just, I'm sure you'll fall in love with it as much as we do. Um, and I want to hit those 3 points you mentioned. Those are wonderful examples. One is journaling.
Hmm.
Before I started to journal, I'm like, bro, I already know myself. I I like playing games. I like Indian food. Like, what is there to sell? What is there to learn about myself? But there's more to journaling. Journaling means to, for me, how I journal is I write down my thoughts, how I think. That's when you know who you are, and how can I have um, made my conversation better? Is this really me? Like studying yourself, right, and
Mhm.
asking yourself questions. Is this how I should really reacted, or am I just doing this to people please again? um and then going out of your comfort zone, right?
Mhm.
I've Take solo trips, man. Don't take trips with your friends. Taking solo trips, you're by yourself.
Mhm.
You're with your own thoughts, and that really helps you. And like you're more aware, like you mentioned in your blog. um and then the last thing, support system. My parents were my support system, and the other one is Vishal. Having that one friend, you don't even have like thousand friends, man. Like just have one friend to talk to, and that's enough.
I think I think there were a lot of good points that you brought up, and I think mental health and personal empowerment is very crucial at this time, especially during a pandemic when you know there's social distancing and not everybody can obviously meet each other at this time. And I think this is also a good time to kind of get to know about yourself. um,
Right.
I think it gives us time to do a lot more self development,
Mhm.
and like truly understand ourselves, while like how we're perceived and what we want to do. And I think um, you definitely put a good perspective in this, and I hope that you know at least whoever watches this podcast on SDT, or on YouTube, I'm pretty sure they're gonna like look at your blog and probably reach out to you. Um, you
Hope
know,
so.
yeah, Sai and I were actually we were when we posted the podcast, we were like, who's gonna reach out to us, but then like even there were a few people who reached out to us just letting us know that our podcasts were doing well, but they liked our podcast. So
Right.
it's just really cool like how people are actually spending the time to look at these kind of things, and that kind of motivates us to keep going. And and I think so this was actually Sai's idea of starting a podcast, and then I like tagged along with him. um I think he definitely put out a good thing, because like this is the time where we can open up, we can communicate with others, we understand other people's perspective. And some people, like, in not in a bad way, could probably be a little narrow-minded. And I think these podcasts and these topics kind of will open up their minds, and they'll probably even help them, like, grow as a person. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. And guys, please check out our hidden layers.com. It's Akila's blog, and I was just reading about how gratitude can heal you, and I think it's great. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So now, like, we want to incorporate a little bit of like Telugu here and there, and
Yeah.
the first few the people that we started with, we try to kind of push them to speak Telugu, but then you know it gets awkward because not everybody is like that fluent in Telugu, and
Yeah.
appreciate for them for trying. So just getting away from the serious talk, what is your favorite Telugu song?
Oh, that's easy. Yedo Priyaragam from Arya, my favorite. That's my favorite song, like hands down.
And, yeah, that's definitely one of my top 10,
Yeah.
100%. Um, favorite Telugu movie?
Okay. I'm gonna sound so basic for saying this, but like, look, I really love Bahubali. I really love it. Cause like you have to understand, like I am a crazy like fantasy fan. I love fantasy. I love all elements of it. That's like I read a lot, so that's like my favorite genre. So to see the Telugu industry kind of adopt elements of that and make it into not just one movie but two movies and like have these great characters, it just made me so happy to see that. Like I could watch those two movies again and again. I think I like the second one better than the first, just because of Anushka. I love Anushka so much. She's probably my favorite Hollywood actress. But like, yeah, so that And I would also, okay, I do have a second. I would also say Awe on Netflix. That's AWE. Like, I thought that was just such an original story. Like, it's so beautifully told, not just from like one character standpoint, but there's several things that are going on, and it was just put together so beautifully, and it just really made me admire the storytelling so much. So like that one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both movies were good. Like I saw All like 2 times. I liked it. It's just the first time around I could not understand the story because it's
Yeah,
like there's like 6 or 7 different stories happening at the same time, and
yeah,
it was hard. But yeah, that was a good movie.
yeah.
That's cool.
I feel like you have to watch that movie twice to really appreciate what's going on. Like the
Yeah,
first time you're just kind of like trying to understand what's happening, but then
yeah,
the second time you know what to look out for, and that's the best. I love that.
100%. Uh, favorite Telugu snack or Indian snack, I guess.
Okay, I'm a sweet person. I love sweets. Like I have a really bad sweet tooth. My favorite of all time is kalakan. Like you guys know
Yeah,
that? You don't understand. Like I'm obsessed with the sweets since I was a child, like forever. Like we would go to India, and my grandparents immediately knew what to get me. Like they would get me like 3 huge boxes of this, and I would eat them all. I would eat them because I just love them so much.
it's the white one with
Yeah,
yeah,
with the
yeah,
kaju in the middle.
gotcha,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah,
you,
yeah.
do
I
you eat one
love
by
that.
one or like a stack of three at once?
It really depends. It depends on the mood. I mean, if I'm really like feeling like I want to devour the whole thing, yeah, probably stuff multiple in my mouth. But usually I like to savor them, like one bite at a time, just really slowly. So yeah, my favorite.
And then favorite Telugu actor slash actress,
Oh yeah, Anushka. Like I said, like
Anushka, and yeah,
I love her, love her. Like when it comes to like actresses, yeah, like it's her and then Samantha's a close second. But I think she plays some really empowering roles. Anushka, like seeing her in Arundhati and then in Bahubali and then again she Rudramadevi. I liked it just because of her acting. I just think she can be so powerful and like her Bhagamati. There's another one. Like her performance just sends the chills down my spine. Like I just love her. Like best strong female characters, hands down. And then like for actor, it's harder for me. I used to be a really big fan of Allu Arjun, but then his recent movies are making me hate him. So like, like there's no originality. But anyway,
There's
I'm
a
not gonna
fan
get.
in this call.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to listen. I was a fan. I'm still kind of a fan, not really, but
That's a no.
I. Okay, well,
no,
I guess.
I'm a huge Allu Arjun fan. Um,
Oh man.
since like the Arya days, but I mean, let's say this is just
Yeah.
for fun. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I think Anushka is like the best actress in like Tollywood because just
For sure.
simply
Yeah.
like the storylines and her acting too. It's not just the fact that she gets the movies. It's also the fact that she knows how to act and she knows how to get into
Yeah.
a character. So
Exactly.
that's great. Last question, like rapid fire question. Um, like I know you were born in the U.S., but like, would you actually ever go back, like to India and settle there?
I don't think I would ever settle there, but I might. I would definitely consider staying there for a couple of years at a time, like maybe coming back and forth. I don't think like America honestly feels like home. It does, just because I've grown up here. So
Yeah,
like I don't know exactly how well I would fit in there, but I definitely wanted to. Like one of my greatest dreams is visiting the Isha Yoga Center in Tamil Nadu. Like you guys know that with Sadhguru and all that stuff.
yeah,
So yeah, they have this huge like Adi Yogi statue there. It's really cool. I've always wanted to go there and stay there for a while and like learn to be a yoga teacher and stuff like that. I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. Maybe, hopefully, but like for something like that, I would definitely stay there for a period of time. But I don't think I'd ever like live there.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, mostly everybody has a similar answer. It's just we're just curious about like
Right.
your thoughts on it.
Akila, mental health is always overlooked. We don't raise our hands to ask for help. Some people are suffering through their problems alone. And you wrote this in your blog, which I wanted to share. Feelings run deeper than superficial wounds. That is absolutely true. We have to deal. We have to deal with those feelings the right way, and for that to happen, we should be grateful for individuals like you who are trying to step out your way, who's trying to understand the human psychology and relate to our problems and give guidance to the people and giving back to the community. So I wanted to thank you for what you've been doing and what you have done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely like hard out here because it's not like there's a lot of us stepping into the mental health field. So I definitely, but I mean, more people are trying to do it, and I really love that. I love that more of us are trying to step into this community where we actually take care of our mental health. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I thank all the therapists that are already out there doing their thing because it's hard. It's hard when there's such a strong stigma against like asking for help, but it's something that we all need to do. That's just human. So yeah.
So, Akila, thank you for reaching out to us about the podcast, and we really appreciate your time. I I like I'm not saying this just because it's just a podcast thing, but I really think you put in a lot of detail, and really invaluable detail for a lot of people, and I think um, I hope this podcast will at least change a few lives. And you know, like thank you for coming on the podcast. At the same time, um, you know, we hope that you're successful in the area that you're going into. And it's not just now; it's just not a podcast thing. I hope like our friendship grows. At the end of the day, we all should feel like we made a good friend. And yeah, that's about it. So you want to add anything?
I want to hear Akila speak Telugu.
Oh God, I knew this was gonna come up at some point. I'm bad. Like I'm learning how to read and write right now,
But not to speak.
I mean it's gonna come with the reading and writing. At least
For
I'm
sure.
hoping it
Yeah, I was just
eventually.
joking.
I think my problem's vocab. Like I'll want to say things, but I don't know the words for it all the time, so I can't make like complex sentences. So like my conversations with my grandparents, that's like the most I can do. So it's just like nina bana mira bana ra," like inka that stuff. That's about it. So
That was pretty good.
oh, thank you.
All right, Akila. It was a great day. It was a great day.
Yeah, I just
Thank
want
you.
to say at my piece, thank you for having me here, and thank you for having like making this podcast and having this great idea because like it's so fun to hear your conversations with everyone. Like I was listening to the other episodes and I'll be like laughing along with you guys. And it's just like it's so fun to hear everyone's stories and like what you're talking about and fun to see how much like so many of us think alike in terms of like the different topics and stuff. So it really brings our community closer together and I love that. So thank you for that.
Man, our pleasure. I don't want our interaction just to be likes, comments, and just messages over internet. I want it to be lively. Obviously, we can't meet in person, but
Right.
the more we communicate, yeah, you got some good points too. We learn how much we're closer together.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
cool, man. We'll keep in touch, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.
You too.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye.